fun fact, have no trivia right now. And I actually looked. So I am going to come up with trivia mid-movie.
Challenge.
We'll see.
Going to air.
Stand by film.
5,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
Fish are friends, not food.
Make it Centauri time.
Too much iron in your blood.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Hey, what happened? Let's fly!
Let's get pissed and watch boom.
Hello, you've got a base.
Are you saying there's something wrong with my gear?
We're going streaking!
He found me!
He's doing his Superman thing.
That still only counts as one!
Why is the rum always gone?
All right, well, welcome, one and all, to a brand new episode of 20 Years for Beers. We are a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from 2 decades ago, while simultaneously rewatching. Hello.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Simultaneously drinking 4 modern beers. What am I doing here? This is what happens when I walk away from my notes. My gosh, it's like I haven't said it 100 times before.
Yeah.
My name is Steve, and this is my big brother,
Tim.
And we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah, so there we go. Well, welcome, everyone. So,
Welcome.
Tim, welcome. It's good to see you.
You as
good
well.
To see you.
It's been so long.
I know. How was your week, good sir? What's going on? What'd you watch? I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to talk about pop culture of the modern era a little bit. So, what'd you watch this week? Or since last week when we recorded?
A bit of a theme this week of watching things about the last.
Okay.
As we're going to watch Last Samurai.
Sure. Oh, okay.
Serendipitously.
Again, it's got to be a stretch.
I didn't want to. No. It's a.
That's not a theme. They're very different movies. It's not a theme.
It says the same word. Of all the English language words available.
Sure.
So, no, I didn't want to get hung up on like avoiding spoilers in the world anymore. So I finally got caught up on HBO's The Last of Us.
Yeah, if you're on social media of any kind and you don't want to get spoiled, you can't avoid it.
No.
Yeah.
And if you are in any way listening in on the fence of watching it, watch it. It's
you don't have to like
4 episodes. It's flat out incredible.
Yep.
It's like most of these
it's downer
shows,
though, but I mean it's still good.
Well, yeah, I mean post-apocalyptic. You don't really sign up for the cheery sunshine narratives, but it's a show that, like most things, it's not about the existential crisis of the zombies or whatever. It's about the humanity, and oh god, it's incredible.
And we finished The Fabelmans last week. You finally finished that.
Yes, we did after the last one. We watched.
I had seen it, but
finished that, and that was a surprising movie. Where if you have watched the trailers, it is not at all like what they market.
It's very different. Yeah.
In terms of the
I think in
story, in a good way. Yeah, and I was actually had no idea the details of Spielberg's life, of how crazy it was in terms of the family dynamics, and I'd heard high level stuff. Anyway. Check it out. I do recommend it. It was very enjoyable.
I think it's a movie that gets better over time for me. Like the more I think about it, and the more I've watched it a few more times, I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting better over time.
My only quibble, and it's not the movie, but it's that John Williams got nominated for the score for it. It's a bit of a courtesy final or soon to be final with Indiana Jones 5 coming.
Yeah, he did say he might, as long as Spielberg keeps making them, he might try and do more. But I don't know. Did he write a lot of those concertos that are in it? I know some of them he didn't.
He wrote like 2 pieces for it.
Okay.
And it's like, I get it. The guy's got like 52 Oscar nominations, fine.
Yeah.
But it was the only like tiny thing where I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch.
Because the Batman score didn't get nominated.
Well, the Batman score didn't even get shortlisted.
Right?
It didn't even.
And you're going to give it to Fabelman?
I agree.
That was annoying. Like, come on. Michael Giacchino's score for the Batman is incredible.
Yeah.
So I just.
Well, my minor quibble with the Fabelmans is that Judd Hirsch was nominated for supporting actor and not Paul Dano.
True. Absolutely. Yes.
Judd Hirsch to me is the prime example of why the Oscars need a featured actor category.
Yep.
And not supporting actor.
Yep.
The man is in it for less than 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's a featured actor.
Yes.
Paul Dano is a supporting actor to the story. He's
Yes.
the father, and it really bugged me. I was like, this is dumb. It shouldn't it just shouldn't happen. So that aside, I really love it. Although Judd Hirsch is still really good in that
great.
role.
Yes.
But I was like, you're in this for 2 scenes, and that's
Yes.
about it.
And Michelle Williams as the mom is
It's fantastic.
incredible.
Yeah,
Just
fantastic. Yep.
wonderful. So how about you?
I we watched Fablemans together, or finished Fablemans together, and I obviously watched The Mighty Wind this week. But then last night,
True.
Kara, one of our regulars, I guess, and
Yep.
I don't know how to. There we go.
Yeah.
She and I went
Friend of the pod.
Yeah, special friend of the pod.
Yep.
We went to Orchestra Hall last night and watched Harry Potter 6, where they do the live music at the same time.
Oh, that's
they,
cool.
They play on stage and
Yeah.
then you watch the movie or whatever.
The score
and-
with it.
Yeah, and that's a whole series they do. Like later this year, it's Star Wars Force Awakens, and they
that'd be
do
cool.
other ones, which would be interesting because it's John Williams, but I don't particularly love that movie, so it's kind of like, I don't know.
And there's no Duel of the Fates, but that's right.
Right. And it was super cool. Number one, I actually love 6. That's one of my favorite.
It's
Actually,
really
I love
good.
it.
Yes.
I think it's kind of gotten forgotten over time, but
Yep.
I actually think it's going to be well remembered.
Yep.
It's easily the funniest of all the movies, in my opinion.
Because that's like all the awkward, like kid.
It's all awkward teen
Yes.
stuff and looks and funny moments, and it's not slapstick. But the music in that movie is so freaking good. It's just that ominous, tons of violin,
Yes.
and then with spoiler alert, Dumbledore's death at the end. Like what? It's been how long?
Oh my God.
Yeah, deal with it.
I'm reading the book right now.
Well, tough luck. No, I would go to a thing like that again. It was super fun. They encourage the crowd to get involved, so you're
Yep.
like cheering for your favorite characters, or maybe booing,
That's cool.
or like it was really fun. Like, and as much as you want to make fun of people who show up dressed up and things like that,
Sure.
you're also like, this is a totally cool thing. Especially now when you consider the backlash against Hogwarts Legacy and J.K. Rowling, and
Yeah.
you still see the people who are like, this was the thing. This was the reason why
Well, we
this is a
worked-
big deal. This is not because of a thing. Like, it just,
We worked at Barnes & Noble when the books were being released.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
the all-night parties. I mean, you and I went to go see the midnight releases of
Yep.
the final 3
the final,
movies.
yeah, yep.
So yes, we were not in costume, but that vibrancy
totally
of that
fun.
experience. That's awesome.
All those book releases were awesome. But yeah, anyway, that was
That's
my
really
sort of
cool.
event of the week. I would go to, again, if you ever get an opportunity to do that, it was a ton of fun.
Totally.
Like, and they do subtitles because obviously you can't quite hear everything while they do that.
Sure.
Because it's all live.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's all timed perfectly. They did such a good job.
That's really, really
So-
cool. And that's a really good score, actually.
It is
I think
really
it's
good.
Like John
if you
Debney
think
or
about it,
something.
yeah. Hooper?
Not Hooper.
It's
Yeah, it
something.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But
anyway,
the theme of Dumbledore's death
that whole
is
thing is so
incredible.
cool.
Yes.
We were a little disappointed because there were people clapping. There were people doing this. I was kind of hoping people would have brought wands, like light up wands.
Yep.
I would have done that at the end, or like have their phones out.
Yep.
And nobody did. And I was kind of like, oh man, that would have been kind of fun. But I guess I could have led by example.
That would have been cool. But
All right. Well, anyway, off topic. I hope you
Nicholas
enjoyed our
Hooper.
week. What's that?
Nicholas Hooper.
Nicholas Hooper.
You are
yeah.
good.
I was good. In this episode, then, we continue our journey through the films of 2003, and we'll be re-watching the epic action drama film, The Last Samurai, and we'll also discuss A Mighty Wind during our upcoming Happy Hour episode. The Last Samurai is a story of Captain Nathan Algren, a Civil War survivor who is reluctantly sent to Japan to be an advisor to the Japanese army in destroying the samurai who threaten their way of life. Algren is naturally captured by the samurai and eventually realizes that what he was told is not the whole truth. Choosing to be an ally and not an adversary, Algren decides to train in the samurai ways and chooses to fight alongside them, including their leader and his new friend Katsumoto. The samurai must make a valiant stand in support of what is right, even if it takes their lives in the process. The film is directed by Edward Zwick, written by Zwick, John Logan, and Marshall Herskovitz, and stars Tom Cruise as Algren, Ken Watanabe as Katsumoto, Tony Goldwyn, Timothy Spall, Billy Connolly, and Hiroyuki Sanada.
Well done.
Thank you. I practiced earlier today.
That's good.
My name is Katsumoto. What is your name? Are my words not correct?
I will practice my English with you. If you would honor me.
You kept me alive just to speak English? And what do you want?
To know my enemy.
I've seen what you do to your enemies.
The warriors in your country do not kill?
They don't cut the heads off defeated kneeling men.
General Hasegawa asked me to help him end his life. A samurai cannot stand the shame of defeat. I was honored to cut off his head. Many of our customs seem strange to you, and the same is true of yours. For example, not to introduce yourself is considered extremely rude even among enemies.
Nathan Ogren.
Our first segment, as always, is Drinking Buddies,
Come on, not my fucking beer.
where we present the beers we will be drinking while rewatching our subject film. As our name would suggest, we cover 4 beers, though, again, we typically have a little bit more. And I know we don't have a Strange Brew this week, so we might have a 5th. But anyway, Tim will be walking us through our buddies for tonight, so take it away, Tim.
Thank you. From Lupulin Brewing out of Big Lake, Minnesota, we have a variation of their kind of flagship of some sort sours. They're Sticky Puddles.
Sticky Puddles.
This is their pineapple.
One of our favorites from 2 years ago.
It was very good. This is their pineapple upside down cake. So it's an imperial sour ale with cherry, pineapple, and salted caramel flavor.
Yeah, I saw that in the liquor store. I was kind of curious about it.
Or as we heard Stefan's earlier, caramel.
Yeah, caramel. What kind of New England bullshit is this?
Exactly. And then after that, we'll have Portage Brewing out of, again, northern Minnesota. I always forget. Their Coldest of Nights Imperial IPA with Mosaic Citra and Columbus Cryo. And then I got to say, I was so happy for a theme beer to find from Hitachino Brewing, a product of Japan, their Espresso Stout. It's a Hitachino Nest is the brewery. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, because we could have done like
all these like rice lager.
Yeah,
they
or
have like
a Hasi or whatever the name of that.
Yes.
Yeah, there's, or I don't know if Tsingtao is Japanese, but it's Asian. But yeah.
No, here I am actually being a total idiot. It's actually Kiyuchi Brewing, and the name of the beer is Hitachino Nest, which is an espresso stout.
Sure.
A Japanese dark ale brewed with coffee beans. It's good that I can find the English on this aside from the Japanese writing.
Yeah.
There
Well,
we
we've
go.
established you're a racist, so.
That was the subtext. But
Yes, exactly.
That was our theme beer for the night.
Okay.
And then from Bent Paddle out of Duluth, Minnesota, they're now in cans, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah. Yep.
They're double shot, double black, bourbon barrel aged, imperial black ale aged in bourbon barrels with cold pressed coffee and vanilla flavor.
Good Lord.
Aged 12 months in bourbon barrels. This is.
And then shoved into a can.
And then, yeah, they say age it from like, I don't think so. I love this one, so I'm excited to try it out of the can, see if it has the same good taste. So,
Perfect.
There we go.
All right. Well, that brings us then to the social network,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 20 years ago. Tim always takes point on these. So, Tim, what did the critics say?
IMDb rating is 7.8 out of 10. Philip French of The Guardian said director Zwick is attracted to the notions of victory and defeat and the romantic purity of self-sacrifice. The film is, however, overly earnest and overlong in its execution. David Anson of Newsweek magazine said, while there are indeed pleasures to be had in the handsome, heroic The Last Samurai, they're unfortunately all on the surface and none on the substance. But Big Man Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Sure.
So The Last Samurai is about 2 warriors whose cultures make them aliens, but whose values make them comrades. The battle sequences are stirring and elegantly mounted, focusing less on who wins, but what can be proven by dying. Beautifully designed, intelligently written, acted with conviction, it's an uncommonly thoughtful epic whose power is only compromised by an ending which sheepishly backs away from what the film is really about. And I must say, I have not seen this probably since it came out, so I'm curious to see what that ending is about.
Yeah, before you hop on to the Oscars, I will say one thing I know we'll talk about later is the connection between Algren and Katsumoto and their And that's one of the things I like latched onto when I first watched it.
Yep.
That I think some other people didn't, and we'll get into why, because they got too hung up on the name. But anyway, it was, I'm looking forward to that connection between the two.
Teaser. I'm excited. Academy Awards. It was up for 4 nominations that year for sound mixing, costume design, art set direction, and best supporting actor for Ken Watanabe.
Yeah, all deserved. All right. Well, there we go. We are going to pause and rewatch the movie. So if you're so inclined, go right ahead and watch along with us. If not, we'll see you on the other side of this break. So here now is The Last Samurai.
Tell me of your part in this war.
Why?
I wish to learn.
Read a book.
I would rather have a good conversation.
Why?
Because we are both students of war. Huh? So, you are the general of your army?
No. I was a captain.
This is a low rank?
A middle rank.
And who was your general?
Don't you have a rebellion to lead?
People in your country do not like conversation?
He was a lieutenant colonel. His name was Custer.
I know this name. He killed many warriors.
Oh, yes. Many warriors.
So he was a good general.
No, he wasn't a good general. He was arrogant and foolhardy. And he got massacred because he took a single battalion against 2,000 angry Indians.
2,000 Indians? How many men for Custer?
211.
I like this General Custer.
He was a murderer who fell in love with his own legend. And his troopers died for it.
I think this is a very good death.
Well, maybe you can have one just like it someday.
If it is my destiny.
What do you want from me?
What do you want for yourself?
What are you doing? Why are we having these conversations? What the hell am I doing here?
All right, well, welcome back to 20 Years, 4 Beers, where we have just finished rewatching The Last Samurai and also have enjoyed 4 new beers that we will review in a segment coming up later. But first, as usual, we jump right into our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching the film. I actually do have a few. I think you do as well.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tim. What do you got? What do you got? Do you have a first that you want to cover? Or
Tom Cruise. So this is our 3rd Tom Cruise movie that we've seen over the years. He just doesn't not commit to anything.
He doesn't not commit.
Yes. Like he doesn't commit. Like he just is so focused on everything he does. And like I mentioned in the intro, like I haven't seen this since it first came out, maybe a year or two.
Sure. Right. Yeah. It comes on a DVD or, blah, blah, blah.
But even like the last half hour, I said to watch, I'm like, dude, I have no idea what happens at the end.
Yeah.
Like it was the first time watching it again. But that being said, I just so love that all the issues that he dealt with in like the mid 2000s or whatever, and then worked his way back into like the good graces of the society or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, like he just doesn't not commit to anything. And I'm super impressed with that because it works for this. And I'm really happy we watched this because I haven't seen it again in a long time. I know you've seen it more recently, but man, I really was impressed with this. So yeah, right off the bat, just Tom Cruise, man. It's justified that he is still the megastar that he is.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know, my first takeaway, my first point I wrote down was Tom Cruise, spare a thought for a guy whose 2 worst things about him are that he believes in a weird religion, as if Christianity has so much to stand on here.
They're all weird. Exactly.
Right. And he jumped on a couch for the love of a woman. Those are the 2 things that people hate most about him.
Yes.
I don't understand. Like,
yes.
We've talked about my hatred of Nicole Kidman, and they were together at this time, or around this time. And Nicole Kidman, all she had to do was get out of the good graces with just marry Keith Urban and then just like keep doing her thing. I get it. And don't get me wrong. I mean, anyone who's connected to Keith Urban, I'm fine with. But yeah,
I believe you wept at his concert
multiple times. So, but I think like that's why people seem to hate him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was around this time. It was sort of that like 2003 or 4 or 5.
Yep.
And it's like, here's a man who literally has one goal, which is to entertain the audience. And he does so film after film after film. At no point from this point on, like there's the 80s and 90s Tom Cruise that like wants to maybe win awards and kind of do what he wants to do. Although he still does things for the audience at the time. I get that part of the Tom Cruise site.
Yes.
But from this point in the next 20 years, all he wants to do is get people into the theater and entertain the audience.
Yes.
And tell me when he doesn't do that in the next 20 years. I'm baffled at people hating on Tom Cruise as an actor.
Yes.
Again, if I have to like and respect Nicole Kidman, which I do as an actor.
Yes.
All you other mother effers can respect Tom Cruise for the same reason, regardless of what happens in the personal life. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, to the point where like Top Gun is up for Best Picture this year.
Well, Top Gun Maverick, the good Top Gun.
Sorry, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I could.
You have Top Gun, the bad
True.
Top Gun, and then you have Top Gun Maverick, the outstanding one.
Exactly. So I just think...
Yeah, and all the Mission Impossibles in this time since then?
Yes.
Give me a break.
Way better.
What's the number one movie I'm looking forward to this year? Maybe Indiana Jones, but otherwise...
Yeah, those close to...
Or, excuse me, Mission Impossible.
Yes, the top two, yes. So I am just in awe of the stuff he decides to do and put together. So that was right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree.
So here's what I'll say. The movie probably got some criticism for being so long, for like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, yep.
And I think you and I have always felt like, I don't care the time.
No.
Just arbitrarily that a movie runs. I want to have a good story. So last episode, we watched Old School, an hour and a half. That's all you need. Compact, condensed.
Hour and a half.
Cool.
Yep.
That's all I need. For 2.5 hours. But what they do really well in this is they take the time to build the bond that has to exist for Cruise's character and Ken Watanabe. And forgive me, I forget both characters.
Algren and Katsumoto.
There you go.
Yep.
Because they have to develop that shift from the main character to become enamored with and interested with this new people that have taken him in, which was deemed as like so terrible. So when the assassination attempt occurs, what an incredible fight sequence.
Yep.
And it's really lighthearted, but you can tell something is about to happen.
Yep.
And that to me is a testament to the writing and the direction and the slow and patient story development for these characters to come together where you feel a sense of peril for them. Because spoiler, the name is Last Samurai.
Yeah, guess what?
And the story is about a samurai. So you know there's this like foreboding sense of doom, like what's going to happen. So that fight sequence, when it all blows up and they're having to fight hand to hand and it is going crazy, is an epic fight sequence.
Oh, that's one of my I will say it's one of my all-time favorite sequences.
Got it. I totally forgot about it.
Yep.
Until I started, I'm like, wait, there's a fight sequence here. I think, and like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And Cruise's character protecting the kids and his caretaker, Taka, and it just, I was so impressed with that patience. A lot of movies get a crap for like not just getting too like boom, 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 like entertain us. I really liked that this movie took the patience and time to build these characters. So that we were just sitting here being like clapping, like, holy shit, that sequence is incredible.
Yeah.
Because it pays off for the development of the characters together and the bonding.
Yeah, I think one thing I will say about the timing too, what bothers me most about lazy ass white Americans is like This movie is 2 hours and 34 minutes long. Forrest Gump is 2 hours and 22 minutes long.
Yep.
English Patience like 9 hours long. I understand it's not, but it feels that way. But it's longer than this. Braveheart's 2 hours and 50 minutes long.
Shawshank
Gladiator is 2 hours and 35 minutes long.
Yeah.
Return of the King is 3 hours long. We watched Two Towers last year. That was about 3 hours long.
Yep.
I'm so exhausted at having to defend the length of movies with people. Is like, we have Best Picture winners and all-time great movies that are all 2.5 hours long or more. I am not putting this movie up with those movies.
No.
However, I will say at no point in this movie, in my opinion, should you be bored.
Absolutely.
I mentioned The English Patient because you hit play and you fall asleep and then you wake up 3 hours later and then you've just watched a movie.
I love that movie. Oh, God.
I enjoy that movie and respect that movie, but I would never make anyone watch that movie.
I agree.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I get so exhausted having to defend, like, well, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a 30-year workday, you lazy fucker. Like, what? Seriously, I get so exhausted. Like, and then people turn around and they bitch about Hollywood doesn't put anything good out.
Yes.
And how, like, all this other stuff. And you go, okay. So,
or they tell you, hey, Mad Men is great when it hits season 4. Oh, I got to invest.
Okay, first of all, it is. But
I don't have to invest.
I get it.
15 hours before. I agree. Yes. We have this long form narratives now that are acceptable
good from the beginning. That's why the length that people are talking about that. Like, it's a little long. And this and stuff.
Overlong.
What would you cut?
Yes. Yep.
Like, I don't understand what you maybe could cut 10 minutes out of this movie. To what end? Like, we're not talking again. Anyway, I'm moving on to my next point because I get really frustrated with lazy Americans who are like, just entertain me for, this is argument in baseball too. Like, you follow me here, but there's like a regular baseball game is 3 hours long.
Sure. Yeah.
It's half hour longer than this movie.
Yes.
So wait, so what is it? Like,
yes.
So I'm supposed to have all this stuff done in less than 2 hours because your time is more important than art and actually telling a good story or having fun on a night at baseball. Like, that argument, anytime anyone ever tells me, no, it's a bit long. Well, then you have a terrible attention span and are a moron.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't paying attention to what this was because this story does a great job. And I will transition into what I teased a little bit earlier is the similarities between Algren and Katsumoto's sort of like view of the world are really interesting to me. And they were back then and they are now even more.
Mm-hmm.
The two men have a similar belief on the world, but they're coming at it from different ends of the same spectrum.
True.
And like, they both believe in this old world, like honor first style, right? But Algren comes into the story broken. He has believed that and it has been destroyed.
Yep.
And Katsumoto comes in and saying, this is all I've known. It's not destroyed yet, but he kind of like his world is there, but he's kind of on that other, like, I live this world. I'm in the mountains here. I live this world. And Algren is just destroyed.
Yep.
And they find a way to end up in the same world together or in the same existence together. And they find a way to meet in the middle.
Yep.
And then in the end, they pass each other, right? Like, Katsumoto accepts his fate and says, the thing that I've lived for is dead.
Yes.
But he hands it off and says, Algren, the thing that you believe in is not dead. So move on. And it's this really great, like, two boats passing in the night kind of a thing where like these two, and then they go on this journey and then they go on their separate ways. And it's much grander than that.
Well, he gives him the sword.
Right. But the whole thing, the comparison between these two men is very easy on one level and yet really complex on another.
Yes.
And really well done because they're like coming from two opposite ends of the world.
Yes.
Like, I don't think this movie gets enough credit from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
From there's some cheesy lines and this kind of stuff or whatever, but I mentioned Gladiator from a length of time. This is a better script than Gladiator by a mile.
Absolutely.
And Gladiator won Best Picture. So I'm like, and John Logan co-wrote Gladiator. So like to compare the two, it's like,
sure,
yo, there's real depths to this movie. And you watch Gladiator, you're like, yep, okay. And we watched it. We covered it.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yes.
But it's like, there's not a lot of hidden depths to this movie. I could go into all kinds of, just from the two men alone.
Yes.
The comparisons and yet very different ways of going about it. I love it.
I was not expecting that level of connection between the two main characters in terms of,
especially when one with Tom Cruise jumping on a couch.
Exactly.
I'll get over it.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
But the idea that, yes, the kind of honor and dignity that comes from accepting your fate in the roles you have to play, and that's broken. And to that depth piece you talk about, so I will say I struggle sometimes with movies that it's clearly a redemptive arc to come from the main character.
Yeah.
And it's centered around...
Whenever they start as a drunken fool in the beginning, they're going to end up... Yeah, exactly.
So it's so... Yeah. In many ways, I struggle with movies that it's so clearly designed to show a inherently, at least perceptively so, right away, an unredeemable character because they're boorish, they're rude, they're self-destructive. And you think, oh, you can tell the story is going to happen because they're so hard working to try and, like, they're stripped down. Like, right away, it's like, oh, you're a just terrible person and here's your flaws and like all these problems. And you go, it's only going up from here.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, I feel like it's kind of, in some cases, it cannot be handled well.
Mm-hmm.
But what works for me in this movie is it takes its time to develop it, and you see his destructive ways, and you get these flashbacks to see why he'd be so traumatized by the killings of Native Americans and him being resistant to it, but having to go along because his orders, all these things.
Right.
What pivots this movie for me is when it's revealed that the man that Cruise killed in battle is the husband of the woman who's taking care of him.
Yeah, Taka. Yep.
Like, that to me is the paradigm shift of this movie, where it's not just a cheesy redemptive arc. It is so deep, and the layers that come with it, and you see her grappling with that weight of my brother. What's his name? Katsumoto.
Yeah.
Who runs this, has tasked me with healing this man who killed my husband, and the shame that brings to her.
Yeah.
Like these layers that we don't even comprehend from a very westernized American lens.
Yeah.
That can feel forced in ways, but it, I think, handles it really well.
It can be forced.
Yes.
And I think but
it works for me
Yeah.
as a viewer to see her grappling with that because of her children, the two boys, and the dynamics at play, where he isn't just some brutish, for her perspective, like just like slayer of people. He has this trauma.
Yep.
And so it's way more complex than I expected when I watched it, to be honest. Like, I thought it was like, it's a samurai film. I remember it being epic. And I truly, talking to you, like, I don't remember much of anything that happened until we watched it again tonight. And it's way more complicated and complex than I thought. And I think that, to me, that realization of her having to take care of her husband's killer is a huge driver of the tension and intrigue for me. So I like that.
This is not one of my points, but I guess what I will echo off of that is say what is striking to me is if this were in a non-Asian culture, like if they had made this in Europe, like Braveheart or whatever,
sure,
she becomes, and I'm agreeing with you in a sense of saying like their love story is not a love story. Like,
no.
So what really, like, I agree with you is like that's her husband, and now she has to take care of her husband. She doesn't immediately fall in love with him 2 months in and is sitting there like bare breasted and throwing herself at him or whatever, which would happen in almost any other movie if it were in
A lesser, yeah.
right. Whereas it's not that. It's very clear they are connected.
Yep.
But at no point, save for a really small little kiss, do the two of them ever even acknowledge that.
Any intimacy.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's not even, I think what would have become like you talk about, you didn't say cliche, but just sort of like what that linchpin of saying like this is where the story turned.
Yes.
And it could have gotten worse as if she turns into this like, I just need to find a husband and here we go. And it wasn't that.
Yes.
And so I do think this taking place in Japanese culture with that sort of background and honoring that background is a huge reason why that doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like it would be like, well, that just feels like a Shakespearean weird little twist that you didn't need.
Yes.
That it would be the wife of the guy you killed or whatever.
To the point where like the final battle sequence when he's determining kind of what's next and she dresses him in the armor
of her,
of her dead husband.
Yep.
That is really compelling.
Yep.
For me. In terms of the obligation, the expectation of like she could have in many, I think, lesser films, it would have been don't go. Like stay here with me.
Yeah, don't go. You don't have to
like,
go. This isn't your fight or whatever.
Like like stay here with me, like which would have been so shortchanging of I think the cultural aspects of this, of what they're trying to go for, and explain it was a passing in many ways of like you now have this honor of carrying the armor of the man you vanquished because you understood what he was bringing to the world.
Yep.
And so it was
again,
it was really well done.
There's all kinds of things that you can talk about here.
Really well done.
That I don't think was talked about. You talk about the reviews you looked at or whatever. It's just there's a lot of stuff. One, was it Ebert who mentioned the comparison between, or like the connection between Algren and Katsumoto, or somebody did.
Yeah,
I think it's
Ebert
just
did.
short changed of just like, again, we're in the end of the year. I don't think we're going to be sitting here saying this should have been up for Best Picture, right?
True.
I don't think so in the long run. Although I will say, first of all, you're up for 4 Oscars. I don't care what you are. If you're up for 4 Oscars, you've done something right.
Totally.
Like, once you get past 1, because again, let's all remember that like Independence Day won an Oscar. Like, I mean,
True.
so I mean, there's just Pearl Harbor also was up for 2.
Yes.
So I mean, just like, okay, fine. I don't know why at the time. Actually, no, I do know why at the time, because it was a running joke, and that's not my next point, but I did mark it down. But the Japanese symbol for what this is, The Last Samurai, is the plural version. So there's so many white Western cultures who made fun of this movie that said, oh, of course, The Last Samurai is Tom Cruise, the white guy, and appropriating blah, 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 blah.
White savior, here we go.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. It was The Last Samurai, and this is actually, they referenced the plural version of it, which is the group. It was literally, these are the last samurai that we're presenting to you. And Tom Cruise is our proxy to go into this world. And he survives out of this, which arguably I think it almost would have been better if you really wanted to win Oscars, if he would have died at the end.
True.
Like that would have been more dramatic.
Yes.
That's not what they were trying to do here. So I do think that's why people remembered at the time. It was a constant running joke in Hollywood of the white guy, Last Samurai, low hanging fruit, not actually understanding what the hell you're talking about or having seen the movie.
Well, it is
I agree. It frustrates the shit out of me.
Well, I think about there was so many. It's kind of catch-22 of Hollywood in some ways, where a white man venturing into new worlds,
forced into it. By the way, I mean he was brought in for money, but he was then captured. It's not like he just was like a tourist walking in.
It's not like Dance with Wolves, where like John Dunbar's like, I'm going to explore the West.
Which the parallels of this movie, the first half of this movie,
absolutely,
and Dances with Wolves,
first half
very
voiceover narration.
Like,
yes,
yep.
I was prepared for watching it, being like it's gonna be Dances with Wolves 2.0, but I'm like, nope, it shifts halfway through
for sure.
But I agree. But that effort of a white protagonist humanizing a foreign world and its people,
right?
has been like, I think of Wind Talkers or lots of other ones where just tell the story of those people and that's going to be sufficient. But the challenge is, I think we can see the world in many ways of without a major movie star like Tom Cruise spearheading something like this, it would not get made.
Doesn't get made.
And it wouldn't in any way provide that representation.
Nope.
And that view. And so it's a weird criticism that I've never...
Because Hollywood's like, we can't make this movie.
Yes.
Because we won't make money off of it. And then somehow they're supposed to apologize for it. Like we're just making we're supposed to donate our money to...
It is a weird... Yeah.
What, schools to watch this 20 years from now? Like, it's just dumb.
Well, and the money invested clearly for the production. I mean, we talked about the costuming, the set design, and they're up for Oscars for this.
We haven't talked about it. We talked about it earlier, but legitimately
it's
great.
Incredible. It's incredible.
All 4 nominations in this movie are well-deserved, if not arguably could be winners.
Yes.
If the Lord of the Rings
hadn't come out that year. Yeah, or the 3 years. Yes. So it's a really tough, situation to watch through and be like, it is criticized unjustifiably, in my view, because of lazy views of, it's just it gets lumped in with these other versions. And I would say to the movie Wind Talkers, that's actually pretty garbage. Like, I don't like that for what they try and do with it. Tell the stories of the Navajo speakers. But anyway, this works because he's brought there because of his expertise.
Yeah, and desire for money. Just take advantage of the Asian culture or whatever.
The story works for what they're going for. And so, yes, I agree that it's a difference in kind that's ill, suited in many ways for many of the criticism because it is unjustified for this. I was thoroughly impressed with this. So, yeah.
I don't have many quibbles about this movie, and which is it's not to say that this is a perfect movie or I think it would be up for it, but
oh, sure.
And I'll talk about this a little more in my verdict, but sometimes a movie is exactly what it's supposed to be. Like, that doesn't mean, and we had this with Old School a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Old School is arguably the comedy of our generation that like launched the next 10 years after that. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
Like, so, but that doesn't mean it should have been up for best screenplay because it was so unique or whatever. And this movie, I don't necessarily think it should have been up for best picture that year, although we'll discuss that at the end of the year. But like, that doesn't mean the middle doesn't exist. Like, why can't we have, now, let's not talk about, so Kingdom of Heaven, we've talked about before, amazing film from a director's cut standpoint, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of movies like that are like really freaking good, but not best picture worthy.
Totally.
Blade Runner 2049 from years ago, although that probably could have been up for best picture, but it's just, although I don't even know if it was, but
it might have been.
I feel like it was, but either way, in a 5-year, in a 5 nominee movie
pre-Dark
year,
Knight
wouldn't
world.
happen. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not a perfect movie. There's weird things along the way. The visual effects are not good.
They do not hold up.
They're not good.
Right? We watch them like, yikes.
Yikes. These are not good. These are these are juvenile. They're really not good.
Yes.
But that's not the point, right?
No.
But I have one final point. Do you have anything else?
My final thought is,
what do you got?
Ken Watanabe.
Yep.
So, we're gonna watch.
That's not my final point, but I love that you're talking about him. Yeah,
we're gonna watch, as I want to, Mr. River later this year because anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
and Tim Robbins
won
for Best Supporting Actor, and I have fond memories of it and the experience of it and seeing it. So I can't even say really now.
No, but he's got a high bar to beat when we watch it.
Yeah,
yeah,
because holy shit,
yeah,
the dude, and I remember the time having no like concept of Ken Watanabe before this movie.
Why would you? He's never been in. This is his first
English American movie, right?
Yep.
And he is freaking incredible.
Agreed.
In this movie, and it's so great that he got so many roles after, and he's become
a great
solid actor.
Absolutely.
Like great career.
Tony Award winner. I think he won. Yeah.
Unreal in this movie with what he's able to do from the initial kind of like banter.
Many of our customs seem strange to you. The same is true of yours. For example, Not to introduce yourself is considered extremely rude even among enemies.
With
Yeah.
him at the beginning of like,
good
I'm just here to have a good
conversation,
conversation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you see the depths of his character start to get revealed with the interactions with Taka and the responsibility and obligation and the shame in many ways of the culture he's been so beholden to changing. Like when he goes to the council.
The moment
and
he
is
goes to
just
the council and he offers up his sword and the emperor says no, you can see it in his face, man. Everything before that was that confidence that I'm doing what I was supposed to do, and I was like,
this is a worthy and that crisis that he has to deal with, and all in his face as he's in front of his peers, but is being relegated to obscurity. And he was absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to talk about it at the end of the year, like other ones we might watch.
Yeah,
and see,
it's a high bar to beat, man.
Holy
when
cow,
his son
he's good.
gets, again, spoiler alert, when his son gets shot and he's running away and he hears it, you see it on his face. He knows by the sound of what he heard and his son's reaction or whatever, he knows. But he also then has to be strong for his other men and this kind of stuff. That is a heartbreaking scene.
Yes.
That the ending, when, again, spoiler alert, everyone dies, like, is not tear-jerking to me. But that scene was like, yep, here we go.
Absolutely.
Like,
and like the obligation that he's got in real time, tell his son, like, like this is what we do.
Yeah.
And this is the death that's worthy.
And he doesn't, and again, credit to the writing, they don't have him say, I love you, son, or anything like that. He stares at him and then leaves.
Yes.
You see it in his face. And he
unreal.
leaves. He just turns away, and it's like it is so good. He is so good. He is good in literally anything he does. So if you see a movie with Watanabe and you're like, okay, I'm going to enjoy at least him in this.
Yes,
he's perfect.
But this, I forgot how absolutely incredible he is in this.
I did not think this episode would end up as long as it is, but here we are.
It's so good.
The last thing I'll say is, look, no offense to The House of Sand and Fog, Cold Mountain, or Big Fish, but how in the hell does this score not up for best score?
I agree.
Like, Lord of the Rings, obviously, and Finding Nemo is an outstanding score, actually, for Thomas Newman. So I'll give those two.
Yes.
But if I had to pick, look, Big Fish, I like that movie better than you do. It's a good score, but Danny Elfman, it's a Danny Elfman score. Cold Mountain, which is Gabriel Yared. It's a fine movie. I think that actually, no, I just said it out loud. That movie sucks. It's a fine score.
Yes. But he won for English Patient.
Right. Yes.
As he should have, because it's incredible.
It is a good score.
Yes. And then James Horner.
Right. Again, it's a Horner score.
It's rip off of everything he's done.
And so is this to a certain extent, because we talked about it with like Prince of Egypt. Right. But he brings in these Asian infusion and this sort of feel. And you just find yourself humming along with this. The score is so good.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a hill I'm going to die on, because the man has 2 or 3 Oscars as it is now, and he'll win more.
Yes.
But, oh man, that score is so good.
It's really good.
it reminds me of, and they're very similar. They're very different in sound. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast or not, but The Edge by Goldsmith.
Oh my God,
is one of the all-time great scores that was not nominated for an Oscar, because I don't believe it was.
No, it wasn't.
And this is the same thing. You're like, bro, this is so good. I could put this on, and it could just make me cry in the end.
Yep.
I don't know. I God bless you, Hans Zimmer, and your whatever band you were in the 1980s.
The Bungles.
The Bungles. There you go. Yep. As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to a newer-ish one called The Verdict.
I'm going up there. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let the jury decide.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after watching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades. I think you're going to not be surprised at what happens here, but I will go first. Do you have it written out, or do you need to work on it?
I'm working on it. Go ahead.
Go ahead and work on it. I'll just... okay. My verdict is, look, I understand that this movie is not a perfect movie. Nor is it one that is on the same level as Dances with Wolves or Gladiator or, some of the ones you've already talked about tonight. But God damn it, do I enjoy this movie. The filmmakers take everything seriously from start to finish. The acting from old to young, whether it be Bob, the bodyguard, to the damn kid, man. Like, that kid is outstanding in this. I didn't look up his name. I could now. I'm not going to. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
That kid is amazing in this movie. So everyone involved is spot on. And by the end of it, if you're not engaged by the end of this, then that is on you, not the filmmakers. If your biggest issue with this is Tom Cruise, then that is on you, not them.
Yep.
Get the hell over it and watch this movie again. If you've never watched it, watch it for the first time and just enjoy it. It's 2.5 hours of a really well-told story. Not a ton of action. There's a couple pieces along the way, and I think that's why people get bothered by it. But God forbid we tell a goddamn story along the way.
Yeah.
Really well done. Are there things that I would shift one way or another? Maybe I would consider killing off your main character in the end. Sure.
Yes.
But in the end, it's still 4 out of 5 stars for me. Holds up. Surprisingly, I'm enjoying it even more now than I did in the past. Watch it. It's great.
It's really good. Trying to type something up, but basically
what
I was
Steve
listening.
said.
No, I was listening, but like I was not prepared
for
this to be as compelling as I remembered it being.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just the time of 20 years later, but also the film is a slow burning and moving experience. And I highly recommend watching this outsider tale of being taken in by those he was told to fear and look down upon, to then realize everything he's been told is a lie, especially after the trauma that came before of his exploits in America with American Indians, to take up the cause of those who he's now come to love. And it's a very well made, beautiful movie, and 4 out of 5. Absolutely. I was absolutely happy to see that it was far better than I expected it to be. So, highly recommend it.
I keep forgetting that I didn't type out the intro to this next segment, so I was trying to type it. So I'll just wing it.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so that brings us to our next segment, which is our beer reaction segment that we call Drinking Buddies Part 2.
Let's get weird.
Part 2. Where we offer up our expert rankings. We did end up with 5 because we did share a couple of the smaller stouts and things like that along the way. So we are drinking our 5th. Tim is going to bring us back through our buddies, and we will offer up our rankings out of 5. Tim, what do we got?
We had Lupulin Brewing's Sticky Puddles Pineapple Upside Down Cake Imperial Sour Ale. For me, it was a 4.25, I think, because it was really tasty.
Yeah.
And I liked that it was enjoyable to start with. Again, the only criticism I have is Tall
You're so
boys.
old. We just might as well just
Right? Yeah.
insert complaint
Don't put
here.
16 ounces of a sour together. It's just too much. But as I enjoyed it, because I had to dump the last bit, because it's like, it's just like too cherry pineapple-y.
Yeah.
It was very well done. The caramel, like the salted caramel, really mellowed some of that up. But yeah, 4.25 for me.
I also came in at 4.25, and a lot of it was the flavor could have been a 4.5, 4.75. The sweetness brought it down.
Yep.
It was like just too much.
Yep.
Like, I have this with a lot of things now, and again, because we're getting old, maybe that's why. But like, there is such a thing as too much sugar in something. There is such a thing of because the initial reaction is like, oh, this is really good. But then it just gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter as you go, as opposed to more flavorful. And that's the balance. And when the Sticky Puddles that we loved 2 years ago, that was both of our number one sour of that year, that berry one.
Yes.
It was because it was that great balance between those two things.
Yep.
The flavor is there, and I would drink it, but I would share it going forward.
Yes.
So I agree with you on that. But I had a 4.25 as well.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very, very good.
Very good. Then we had Portage Brewing's Coldest of Nights Imperial IPA.
It's a great name for a beer, by the way.
Yes. It's a really, especially
Really
this
good
time
name.
of year, throughout
Right.
the year.
Really good name. And the northern part of Minnesota, well played.
So
and then
we opened it, and both of us were like, whoo, you could smell, it was pungent.
Yeah, you could smell it like you're on the streets of San Diego. Just
And
stinky, stinky, stinky.
Even now, smelling like, whoo. I really liked it, but just like the sour, both of us like couldn't do the 16 ounce. And I will enjoy the other cans I have.
Yeah.
It was a 3.5 for me.
Sure.
Because it was, and I like a dank IPA. Really do.
Yeah.
But it was almost too much.
Yep.
Whereas like you could like feel it in the back of your throat and your mouth,
could.
like,
Sure.
Coldest of Nights.
Sure.
So it was super dank, and I'm happy we tried it, and I'm going to enjoy the rest, but I will not seek it out again. But it was a 3.5 for me.
Yeah. I ended up at a 3.25, which is lower than my obvious average. It was very dank, which I hate that word.
I know.
I would rather talk moist than dank.
It is
I don't know
weird,
why.
like,
That weird is
that
word is so weird to me.
It's a triggering word. Yep.
But to be fair to them, the label says it's dank. It's the first description of it. So I mean, like, they knew what they were doing here. But again, the more you can't finish it, the lower the ranking goes for me.
Yep.
Again, like, dank is good for weed, but not necessarily good for beer, in my opinion. And this one would have been like, if you were this dank on a sticky, a stinky weed.
Icky.
Oh man, this would have been great. I got it. So I went 3.25. Not that it's bad, but this is one of those beers that this is a niche beer.
Yes.
If you like IPAs and you like hazy IPAs, don't drink this.
No.
Because this is such a different style of beer.
Because it's like Mosaic, Citra, great. And then Columbus Cryo. Apparently that's the like
Cryo is the
dank
problem.
balls.
Cryo's starting to piss me off.
Go in, there's like, yikes. So
anyway, there we
intrigued.
go.
And then our theme beer from Japan, we had Kyuchi Brewing's Hitachino Nest Espresso Stout.
Sure.
It was a 3.75 for me. It was fine. It was a nice, subtle coffee flavor, not overwhelming. But it was just kind of what I hoped it might be, to be honest. So it was fun.
Yeah, 3.75 for me as well. And a lot of it is because it's still better than a lot of coffee stouts we've had, even in our 60-some episodes. It's still better than quite a lot out there.
That's true.
So for them to make this, boy, that definitely talks down to them. For them to make this. But a coffee stout is not known to be outside of America. This is not a style that is outside of this country. And so for them to make this and then also bring it in on a pretty decent level almost made me go a little bit higher, but I wouldn't have been able to finish a full beer. I'm glad we split it.
Absolutely.
So I did come in 3.75 as well.
That's good. And then we had Bent Paddles Double Shot, Double Black, Bourbon Barrel Aged. Lots of stuff I said before.
Sure. Whatever. rewind.
It was a 4.25
Yep.
for me. Totally what I expected. Still good in the can. And I think I've had a vanilla version, which is probably better because of like the kind of combination. But it was nice and boozy, but not punching the face gross. Like, ugh. Yeah, 4.25 for me.
I agree, and I don't have any other notes, but I will just say I don't love Bent Paddle that much. I respect Bent Paddle.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
This is easily one of my favorite beers from them.
It's
really
the only one I might enjoy, like, kind of seek out. And actually, the great thing is they have 4-packs of these.
It's a 4-pack, a 12-pack? Oh, sorry.
It's a 4-pack.
Again, I've been to a liquor store in like weeks.
Variants of it. So, like the $30 they used to buy for a bottle.
Right.
Now you can get 4-packs in different kind of, like, there's a vanilla, there's like a double, like, it is, anyway, so.
And again, Minnesota, get off your ass. The more the laws change and things update, this kind of stuff happens. Breweries start understanding what's going on with this. Love it.
Very happy. And then, with the time we had to watch everything, we cracked open a crowler from our friends over in St. Paul, Barrel Theory Brewing Company. They're one more. It's a hazy IPA with Mosaic, Strata, and Simcoe Cryo. This is a 4 for me.
Yeah.
I haven't had Barrel Theory in a while because it's always been like, I kind of get the same thing. And then I'm pleasantly surprised at hot damn, they know what they're doing, man. They are fantastic. So yeah, 4 for me. I really like this.
I had it in my head that this was Wild Minds, so I'm going to go ahead and change my note here to
where you're like,
Theory.
so much better.
Yeah, I had a 4.25, 4.5. And I'm going to keep it there, but I'm just changing my notes. I'm going to say 4.25.
Sure.
Because I don't think it's 4.5, quite frankly, but this is really good. This is really tasty. Got a ton of flavor to it. Good sweetness. This is like refreshing because St. Paul breweries and hopefully, like, I'm gonna go check out the new one later. Like, hopefully St. Paul breweries start coming back because they've had a few closed lately.
Yeah,
and Barrel Theory has always been really good. So
they're just solid, man.
Yeah,
God,
this is really good. All right, well, our final segment then of our episode is Quiz Show.
The exciting quiz program, 21.
Where in our research for the film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you, our listeners. Or if you're me, you come up with them in the middle of the movie.
I was super impressed.
Tim, what do you got?
So Tom Cruise would work with director Edward Zwick again in what 2016 action movie sequel?
Jack Reacher, Never Go Back.
Boom!
Yeah!
Did you look that up?
I didn't look it up, but I knew he directed Jack Reacher. So I didn't know in my moment, I was like, I knew he directed that, but yeah.
Yes.
Because
McQuarrie did the first one. So
yeah, but
yes. Nice work.
Thank you. I have an Edward Zwick question as well, but I'm going to actually start with, just because it's kind of curious. Do you have another one besides
I have one, but that's
okay.
Fine. Yeah.
You have one total or one more?
I have one more.
Cool. This is not the first film that Tom Cruise and Timothy Spall have started together. Timothy Spall being I don't even remember his name in this movie. He's you asked me
the
who
guy
he was.
from Harry Potter,
right? Yeah,
Peter Pettigrew.
He's Wormtail or whatever, right?
Wormtail,
yes. This is not the first film.
Vanilla
what is
Sky.
It? There you go.
Yes. That's right. Oh my God. I just
we have
realized
covered it
right
in
now.
This movie,
oh my God. That's hilarious. Didn't even think about that until literally that moment. Yes, that is. Jesus, that's so insane.
What do you got, Tim? What's your next one?
So another actor has worked with Edward Zwick multiple times, with one of his roles leading to his first Academy Award win in a 1989 Civil War epic. Can you name that actor and the 3 films they worked on together?
Okay, well, it's Denzel Washington.
Yep.
And then it would have been Glory.
Yep.
Courage Under Fire.
Yep.
And The Siege.
A vastly
underrated
movie.
It's in my next question, actually.
Nice.
It goes to Edward Zwick.
Good job. Yes.
All right, I'm going to keep going.
Yep.
I didn't have those on there, but I mean, I knew that anyway, but because I'm amazing. So I'm going to lead you right into this, and you're going to love this. But
yes.
All right, so director Edward Zwick has actually amassed a pretty decent resume as a director.
Yep.
Including Glory, Legends of the Fall, Courage Under Fire, Blood Diamond, and the criminally underrated The Siege.
Way ahead of its time.
Way ahead of its time,
Yes.
and also really good.
It is
Loved
really
it at the
good.
time.
Yes.
Own it in multiple ways. If you haven't seen it, watch it.
you.
Love it. But despite all of his success, his only 2 Oscar nominations came as a producer.
Oh, shit. Okay.
There we go. One was for Traffic in 2000.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And he would win as a producer on what 1998 film?
Dude. Here I was loving Edward Zwick, seeing how
Not
great
his
he
fault.
is.
It's not his
I
fault
know
that the
his
Academy
fault.
did this. But what do you got, Tim?
Did he produce Shakespeare in Love?
He was a producer on Shakespeare in Love and won for that movie.
No!
And I'm doing this for a reason. Because if only so that we can mention that later this year we'll be covering a special 25th anniversary
Oh, good.
for Saving Private Ryan, the real Best Picture winner of that year.
Good pull.
See,
That's
there we
good.
go.
Nice.
There we go.
Okay, that's true. Yes, we'll be covering that this year. Oh, God, that pisses me off. Ah.
But The Siege is an outstanding movie,
Oh,
and
so
arguably, Glory is also outstanding.
It's very good.
Arguably, The Siege is my favorite Edward Zwick movie of everything we've mentioned.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so
Yes,
good.
it's fantastic.
All right. There we go. So that'll bring us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for our upcoming happy hour on A Mighty Wind and for upcoming episodes on Seabiscuit and The Italian Job, 2 very similar movies. And be sure to find all of our previous episodes on your favorite streaming platform. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on Twitter at years_beers and on Facebook, or head to 20years4beers.com. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
It's a 30-year workday, you lazy f***er. Bare-breasted and throwing herself at
Yes.
him.
No, here I am actually being a total idiot.
You have a terrible attention span and are a moron. I mean, I knew that anyway, but because I'm amazing.
Oh, God, that pisses me off.
Cut! Cut! Cut!
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.